I've had this little tray that I had picked up on clearance at the Dollar General store for quite a while, and I wanted to do something to make it, just fit. Nope. I wanted to do something to make it more of a unique piece. So I attempted to sand off the lettering that they have basically imprinted on there. It didn't come off very well. Remove the handles so that they don't get anything on them, because I want them to stay black. And then I use the 2-in-1 primer from Makeover. It's a bonding and blocking primer. So hopefully the words that are on there don't shine through or show through when I decoupage it. I did 2 coats just because I needed to make sure their words didn't show through. The groove in there that they had put in, I decided I would try the clear heavy gel paste to try to fill that in a little bit, because I knew I was going to decoupage it. I just didn't know what exactly I was putting on it yet, but I didn't want the little indented groove to show. Real technical tools I'm using with my little paintbrush, my fingers, and that I forget what that thing is called. But we used it for putting down vinyl. Sometimes we actually use it for our transfers too. On the bigger ones, it's nice. Your hands don't cramp. I just needed something that would smooth out the top so I didn't have it like a weird layer going across. But proof you can use just about anything. Card, credit card, an old one, not a current one. And here's my second coat of the primer that I said I was putting on. And with that, everything sort of disappeared. So this is from Roycycled's new end papers. And once I saw it, and the prints, I sort of wanted to do it because it was reminding me of a quilt that my mom had made for my daughter. Those are the kinds of prints my daughter's always liked. So at this point, I think I had decided it was going to be for her. So I was trying to decide between, am I going to make it look basically like a quilt using a couple pieces, or was I going to go with the one print that to me just seemed like something that my daughter would. I know these are supposed to be end papers from a book. That's why it's called end papers. But I think there's many things you could, if you're a quilt person, you could make it look like a quilt some way on a bigger piece. Love to see what anybody would come up with for that. This is me just trying to get the edges to be straight and the same. Because at this point I had decided I was only going to use the one piece, and then I had to decide if I was going to one side, putting it straight down the middle. So first thing's the strip that holds it in place once you get it straightened in its spot. I should have sprayed it and let it sit a little bit while I was putting the decoupage medium on. But I don't always do things the right way. Like there. Again, I should wait just a little bit. Let that sit. I think your paper would be a little less fragile if it sits that little bit. It all works out though. You can see there's still a tiny bit of the indent on there, but it's definitely a lot less than it was. So this is a very old transfer from IOD, back when they used to be in the tubes. It was just a trimmings transfer that I've decided would work on here. Just doing this dark edge so that the white won't show through later. And so there's not as much difference when the trimmings goes on there. And you can use a lot of things to do this. You could use a glaze, you could use watered down paint, you could use Debbie's Design Diary, Dark and Decrepit. You can use a lot of things. Just something to get in there and darken things up. If you see me very often, you'll see I don't a lot of times use transfers just the way they are. I tend to cut stuff up and make it totally different than what it started out as. See, it's still a little too thick. So yeah, cut it one more time. Just get a little part out of the middle. And it sort of looks like a little bit like fancy stitching that you would do on an edge. And I like that the two sides of trimmings isn't the same. You know, some people like things very symmetrical. I'm sort of opposite of that. And after you put transfer done, I'm just going over it with that backing just to, it pushes any air bubbles or different stuff out. This is from the Home Sweet Home transfer that came out last year. I don't know about you, but in our family, a lot of people need their coffee first before you talk to them, some of them, but so I think it's pretty appropriate to have on a little trays right there in your kitchen. Might need to be a major sign on your wall. Who knows? That's a very fine grit sandpaper just to sort of push the stuff that's on top back. It helps them be together like it's one piece instead of something sitting on top. And this here is even just a piece of paper rubbing over top of it, and it just sort of softens it a little bit. It's just a clear top coat. I chose I think I did this one in satin because satin's a little sturdier than a flat top coat, but it's not shiny. I have three girls. One of them is a more distressed look girl. That's who this is for. Others are a little bit more crisp, clean designs. So I personally get to try out all kinds of different things when I make things for them. I will say distressed is a little easier. Here I'm covering up the white edges that ended up in there, and I also wanted to darken the wood. So I've got the Van Dyke Brown and the light brown sugar, the two I seem to use the most. Sometimes separate, sometimes mixed together. You can even like do like a strip of one and a strip of the other, go back and forth, and it'll give you lights and darks in a board. brown sugar, and I'm using just to sort of distress that board down a little bit. Not that board, the paper. And this time I'm putting another coat on because I was figuring if it was used as a coffee tray, it might need a little more protection. And I did use flat, but it's an extreme guard. The extreme guard is just more protective and can even be used outside. So we just pop the handles back on and it's done. So if you like projects like this, I'd appreciate it. We got a like, a share, subscribe to our page, our channel. And just remember, watch for those after they're down at the end of the season. And you can redo lots of things to make them what you want them to be, but they have a good base. Thanks for watching.